Hello, everyone, and welcome. You have chosen the Scenic City Sports Podcast, your destination for local sports news, be it high school, be it professional, or whether you just want to listen to us ramble on about professional wrestling or old Seinfeld quotes or crazy movies that we all like. Welcome to the Scenic City Sports Podcast, brought to you by the fine folks at Gary Thacker Insurance over at 2382 Battlefield Parkway. You can reach them at 706-866-8283. Also, the Chattanooga Flower Market, 8016 East Brainerd Road, 423-899-2440. Phil's Primetime Pizza down in beautiful Chickamauga, Georgia, 122 Gordon Street. That's 706-375-4448. Our good friend Greg Payne, host of Restricted to the Dugout with Greg Payne and the Payne Mortgage Team. You can reach them at 423-645-9404 for all of your mortgage needs. And finally, Choo Choo Barbecue, who make it possible for us to bring you the scoreboard on Friday nights. The Choo Choo Barbecue of Chickamauga scoreboard. You can reach them at 12960 U.S. Highway 27 at 706-375-7675. And as Ringo Robb likes to say, you don't know Q until you know Choo Choo. We also want to say a special thank you to Matthew Mays and the good friends and members of Jupiter Coyote, one of our favorite bands, and they provide the music for the show. Those guys have always been great to us, and we hope you guys will reach out and try to check out their music as well. So sit back and relax and hold on, and we'll see where we get to. And welcome, everybody, to this Friday edition of the Scenic City Sports Podcast. Rusty Parkhill, Rob Covington, Scott Herbst will be along with us here in just a few minutes. We have a special guest on the show with us tonight, coming in here representing umpires in the Chattanooga, North Georgia, or actually mainly Chattanooga area. We have Scott Glass and Ken Chase. It's River City Umpire Association.
That's correct.
Coming in to talk to us. The same as they did last year. We're going to see if we can't find some people out there that are willing to come out here and be the bravest man on the baseball field and softball field in a spring sporting competition, and that is an umpire.
Yeah, and a recognizable uniform, so you can't be hidden while you're out.
Well, it's real easy for everybody in the stands to go, "Hey, boo!"
Yeah, hey, boo.
So
that's everybody's name. Yes, y'all were here last year.
We did Zoom last year, but yeah, you guys were on with us.
Glad to be back, and it tells me that one of my favorite all-time sports is just around the corner. First of all, let me recognize both of these guys here formally. Scott Glass, not the Scott Glass that I grew up with that went to Tyner High School. He was known as Scotty Glass. But Scott Glass, president of the board of the River City Umpires Association, also secretary-treasurer for the association, baseball umpire at 2022 Baseball State Championship. What is that? 2022 State Championships. 22 years of experience umpire. So they didn't run you off.
I haven't been run off yet. I can't find anybody to take my place, so I can't leave.
And his buddy, if they are buddies, Ken Chase, the assigner, boy, he's got a good job, signer and training supervisor for that same association for 37 years experience as high school, college, adult league, baseball umpire, member of the Hickson High School Hall of Fame. What year?
75.
75?
Does that mean you know Red Zone Ron Hall?
Yes.
and one Danny Shirley?
Yes, he was 74.
Yeah. I was going to say, I knew he was right around that.
Daisy, but he didn't go.
No, he's Hickson.
Daisy.
Well, in that era, Soddy was, boy, they was out in the sticks.
We talked about that the other night.
Way
how
out in the
far
sticks.
Ooltewah was out in the sticks.
Oh, yeah. And see, I'm Tyner, so Ooltewah was out in the sticks. And Tyner was before Tyner got civilized in that respect.
I had that same conversation with kids at school the other day about, when LFO was, once you got on Battlefield Parkway and once you went past basically Northwest Georgia Sports Shop, there wasn't anything till you got up to the top of the hill to the school, and then you didn't see nothing after that until you got all the way down to the Church of the Nazarene down there where Walmart's at now.
It's crazy. I remember I met my wife at the University of Georgia in 83 and started coming up here, and I remember how 2A was just, I was like, wow, this is the country. And now 2A might as well be just a parking lot.
I left school at I had duty this afternoon, so I didn't leave till about 3:45. My house, the LFO, is literally 3.5, 4 minutes is what our travel time is in this afternoon, and it's every Friday. Not a single other day. Not a single other day of the week. But I promise you that every Friday, if it ain't 12 to 15 minutes for me to get here, it's crazy. And I don't understand it. I don't know why it is. I guess everybody is just picking their kids up on Friday from Battlefield and everything. Battlefield Primary, Battlefield Elementary, but Fridays are nuts around here.
Yeah, and I think it's that way all over town. Guys, thank you for being here. You've come on here to share with us, again, y'all's needs, y'all's desires, and what you want to see take place. So, Scotty, you started off. Tell us what you're on here about.
Well, we would like to find some people who want to join the advocation. It's not so much a job, although it's the pay is actually fairly good. It's learn and train to be an umpire. And if there's anybody out there that already has been an umpire, we want to have them use their experience with us. I mean, you don't have to start completely all over. It's not like that. But we have training set up, and we're going to start that training the 1st of January. January the 9th is the first training meeting. We have that at Saudi Daisy High School at a facility there. Mm-hmm. We just want to get people that are excited about the game of baseball and want to be an umpire, and there's certainly a need for it. So if anybody calls in and wants us to answer any questions about how you can get to be an umpire, we'll help you get there.
Yeah, Ken, you're the assigner, you're the trainer, it says on here as well, so I guess that'll be you'll be on center stage that night.
Well, assigning, just like Scott said, we're trying to recruit people that first off, and granted there's a lot of recreation league umpires that we've brought in the past. We will take you and take what you know, and we will kind of polish it a little bit, because there's a certain way that we do things. There's a certain level of expectation. Chattanooga has a very good reputation across the state as far as the quality of umpires that we put out. We take it a little more seriously. We do a lot more training, things like that. The problem is, if we don't get to where we need to get with officials, when we're just talking about baseball,
sure,
then it's all just going to be, if you don't have officials out there and you've got two teams, it's just practice.
Mm-hmm. We talked about that last year.
Yeah.
We talked about, the need for more, the need
Sure.
for guys to be qualified.
Younger guys, too. Younger guys.
Okay, I understand that as well.
That's very important, because the two of us here,
we got to pass the baton sometime, don't we?
Well, yes,
right, and
we've got to replace people that are leaving.
Yeah.
And we're not doing that right now.
And we talked last year about some of those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Ken, echo some of why you think some of those reasons, and what are you trying to do differently to kind of make some of that go away, if possible?
We spoke with Tim James. He's the director of athletics for Hamilton County Department of Education. Now, the primary problems that we run into are in middle school. Middle school is where we send our new officials. They are can be a challenge at times, and Tim asked me the very same thing that you just asked me. What can we do to fix the problem? And I told him, I said, well, I have a solution. I know how to fix the problem. I said, but you won't do it. And he said, well, what's that? And I said, well, you have no fans. The fans stay in the parking lot. There's no fans in the stands. And he kind of looked at me, and I looked back at him. I told him, well, think about this. If you don't have fans in the stands, then you don't have parents putting additional pressure on their kids, on the players. You don't have them putting additional pressure on the coaches, so the coaches can coach, the kids can play, and you don't have them putting additional pressure on the umpires. And the umpires can umpire. That fixes the problem. But we won't do that.
Don't want to go there. But we also talked about last year, and this was harsh to say it, but both of you guys were honest and upfront about, if there's not officials, there won't be ball games.
No.
And where will we start with those ball games not being played? It will be in the middle school.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we'll go first.
But that is our third priority as far as what our edict is. We are primarily responsible for high school varsity baseball. That's our first.
Okay.
High school junior varsity.
Public and private.
Okay. High school junior varsity and freshman baseball.
All that's first.
All that is first.
Yeah.
And then we go to varsity middle school, which is 8th grade, and then 7th grade. Mm-hmm. And that's where our responsibilities are. But when we met initially with Tim, I told him that I did not foresee us being able to do any middle school baseball, provide umpires for any baseball this coming year. We met another month and a half later with him, and I had a change of heart.
Numbers didn't change, you changed.
They went up a little bit, but again, nowhere near what we would want.
You guys are saying up front, there's enough shortage, Tim James, and Chattanooga Middle School, so we don't have what we need to support y'all.
No, but we were able. Tim said, well, what can we do to help you? And I said, let me tell you what you can do to help me. I said, I'm the assigner. I've worked 7 state tournaments. I worked 4 middle school games last year. I have not worked a middle school game, and I can't tell you when.
Out of necessity.
Worked 4 out of necessity. 3 of the 4 were in excess of 3 hours and 15 minutes long. That is way too long. So to make a long story short, what I told Tim, what we can do is we will primarily only assign one umpire. The game fee for a single umpire will be $120 a game. They will work 7th grade games, which is basically JV middle school, with a time limit, and 8th grade games with a time limit.
Is that new?
Yes.
Time limits are new.
Yes.
What are we talking about, though?
But it's no different than what you do in softball. I mean, in a tournament, you have, 55
that's
minutes?
right. And these kids that have been used to playing at that age in summer, they're on the clock, too.
Right.
Yep.
And I don't like baseball on the clock, but I understand the reason.
Right. And you can't get the rule. By rule, what you start doing, and what I did last year was at Hickson Middle School. I was calling the game, and I couldn't get the kids out of the dugout. You've got 1 minute from the time the third out of the previous half inning to the time of the first pitch for the next half inning.
That's in the rule book.
That's by rule.
That's by rule.
And I had a coach come up to me, and because I was sitting there, I was going, ball 1. And I'd wait another 30 seconds, and I said, ball 2.
I've seen that before.
He said, what are we doing? I said, well, you are delaying this game getting going. You are on defense. So this, by rule, this is what we're doing. He said, well, when did that rule come about?
Since forever?
About 1980.
Stop me for a minute, but Rusty's a golf coach. There's some form of penalty for
slow play.
Yeah,
right? I mean, it has to be extreme slow play, but you do encounter it. Yeah, you can lose a stroke or 2 strokes I mean, well, let me ask you this. While we're kind of talking about, and I'm sure you're probably about to get to this, but let me just go ahead and ask. Is part of the reason that you have trouble finding umpires for the middle school level because of the time frame in which they play those games?
Yes. And we made a request to Tim on this, too. The publics are going to all he can do is he can pass grace over the publics. And I said, we need to play on Wednesdays and Sundays. He said, we can't play on Sundays. I said, well, most of your kids that are playing select baseball right now are playing every Sunday.
If they're on good teams.
If they're on good teams. But he said, we can't play on Sundays. Okay. I said, okay, how about Wednesdays and Thursdays? He said, we can do that.
Can you get around Wednesdays and Thursdays?
Yes. The problem is the middle schools want to play on Mondays and Tuesdays. The district and region games for the high schools are Mondays.
So you don't have enough for that Mondays and Tuesdays. So they're getting in the way right out of
it's to accommodate all the games, the 1,900 games that we're supposed to do. It's to accommodate that. If you have them all jammed in Monday and Tuesday, I mean, there's just some we're not going to be able to do.
I had to cancel on an average last year 10 to 15 games every Monday and every Tuesday.
You might as well not quit doing that.
Yeah. So what's the point?
Yeah, we're going to do it again.
Are we at in some instances, are we at the, I guess I don't know what the right word here is, are we being placed in a worse situation officiating-wise because of the amount of other outside games going on besides the school games? Like, are they, all of the travel teams, the year-round, the stuff like that?
Are you losing
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, are you losing because...
Some people are, but we're not. There's an adult league here in Chattanooga that we have some of our members, if they're able to, on a Sunday, and I've been one of those for a while. It's the one I'm talking about. It's run out of the East Brainerd Youth Athletic Association. So they have to have umpires also, and the pay's not bad. But you have to have some time to rest and wash your shirt and trousers and get a fresh pair of socks or something like that. An umpire that works every day of the week is probably not going to be as good or as sharp as we want them to be, and that's why we need people to come out. It's a very enjoyable profession. I know that I'm sounding like it's a grind, and in some ways it can be, but it's like one of the best things I've ever done. And I came into umpiring completely by accident. 20-something years ago, but completely by accident.
But you wouldn't be one if you didn't. You wouldn't be one if you didn't enjoy the game.
No,
you enjoy the game. You enjoy being there.
If you don't love the game, really,
and that's the worst one to be out there.
Yes.
If that is identifiable, guys, if this person don't really like the game, or they say that, then no wonder it's coming across like this.
And you think about it. I mean, you're on the grander scale. Baseball's been fighting a public relations fight for 25 years because, when I was a kid, and I'm 40, I'll be 48 on my next birthday. When I was a kid, baseball's what everybody did. And if you didn't like baseball, then you might leak out and play something else. But I mean, every American little boy grew up playing baseball.
Anywhere there was grass,
right? Yeah, I mean, you started in the summertime with a,
stick ball and pavement.
Shoot, I used to say, give me one of them yellow wiffle ball bats, a wiffle ball, and a roll of duct tape, and you keep me busy all summer long.
If you went to a family reunion, we would pack the balls, gloves, and bats before. Anything else.
And I think what Rusty's
trying to say...
And
you don't do that now. I mean, now...
You're trying to say there's other games that's maybe creeped in.
There is. I mean, basketball has become huge. For soccer is making a rise in the U.S. You've got...
Except with me.
But you have year-round... The problem now... I agree. But the problem is that now that you have all these sports that are year-round sports, basketball's not just a seasonal sport anymore. Now you got year-round travel teams. You got... seems like that part even leaks into some of it as well.
I think what you're saying is, and I'm 59, and I will certainly say this, that when the season was there, that was the sport that was being played.
Yeah.
And now there are some people that kind of play something year-round in that respect.
We have umpires that umpire baseball for us, but we can't get to them until they finish basketball. We've had, I think it's 7 umpires that have been to the state basketball tournament because they're good. Mm-hmm. Because they're good umpires at both, but we can't get to them until they finish that.
And they're not going to be done with that until that rolls into March, doesn't it?
I know we have 2 white hat crew chiefs in Tennessee that umpire with us, a lot, and they do that because they're good. We've had people that do volleyball and baseball, so if anybody from another sport, we can accommodate that, and we can accommodate about any job if someone wants to come out and do that. You can. I tell people you can work as much as you like, or as little as you like.
Well, y'all are on here basically as last year a telethon. Umpires. We need umpires. We need warm bodies.
We need that count rolling at the bottom of that.
Want to do this. I think Ken shared with me when I asked him, are we better than last year? And you said, yes, but not with the number that you want to be. Because, there again, you might lose 4 or 5 good ones this year.
Well, that's...
For whatever reason.
Last year, we lost 5 umpires that we really had no idea that we were going to lose them.
These are experienced.
Yeah, experienced umpires do a lot of games. They're like, they're the draft horses, and one of them had a heart attack on an operating. He was getting surgery done to be able to do the season.
Get to the next season.
And then they had to resuscitate him twice. He's not back. It's going to be tough for him to be back.
To touch a little bit on what Rusty asked, he was talking about, are we losing them to, we are. We lose them somewhat to, baseball has become, the kids that play on your middle school teams now, they're playing on Saturdays and Sundays in these select tournaments. If they have select tournaments, they have to have umpires.
Yeah.
The pool is the same. Also, something people don't think about, too, is we're losing umpires to college baseball. So many conferences, I do a little college baseball. So many of the conferences have gone from 2 to 3 man and 3 to 4 man. Mm-hmm. So that's moved high school umpires with ability up.
Yeah.
Maybe before they should have went up. But it's also taken from us too. So we're losing it on both ends, and we're just if we can get the people out there that love baseball, it's the best seat in the house. When you're behind the plate, it's the best seat in the house. And if you like baseball, you're going to love that. Now you're going to hear something, but you got to get past that.
Yeah. If that's going to keep you from doing it, then don't do it.
No, you don't need to do it anyway.
I'll tell you, but not to, and this is funny but not funny, but I don't even know how to classify this as because the first thing I thought of when he said that, y'all know, I'm a pool player, so 60 Minutes a couple weeks ago had the number one pool player in the world, which is a guy named Shane Van Boning out of South Dakota. He's deaf, so when he plays in professional pool tournaments, he pulls his hearing aids out and he hears nothing, and I'm like, if you had a way to put, you give them umpires some earplugs or something just to kind of cut away from some of that noise out there. Hey, that might be an idea.
Well, it goes back a little bit. That we need to train them, and we will train them to a certain degree. They don't need to officiate what's in the stands.
Right.
We have no jurisdiction in the stands. We have a game administrator that is supposed to we work through them to take care of those problems. So they shouldn't have to worry about it.
But a year ago, the question came up, was there a game administrators there?
There were a few.
And where that was allowing problems to possibly lead to...
The TSSAA says that if you're a public school...
You're
required to have one. And sometimes that person might be overworked and maybe doing... I've been introduced to a game administrator.
It's the assistant principal, and you said it. If he's got 3 sports going,
he's
where's
like,
he at?
I can't be here right now. I got to go over here, and I got to go over here. And we told Coach James, like, this is what we're going to do. If the school is responsible to do it, and quite frankly, some schools do it a lot better than others. Mm-hmm. Some of them, they're just not there.
I would imagine
we're going to go ahead, we're going to play the game, call the game. But in the past, it's like, well, okay, get us one the next time.
Yeah,
it's not going to be like that. We're gonna start notifying people by letter.
It's going to get to where if you ain't got that guy, we're not coming.
It's going to be part of our game.
You'll be rescheduling,
and that's what we need to do because
you got to draw that line in the sand, man.
A minute ago, you've already told Coach James that this is what I'm going to do with middle school umpiring. One guy. That's what they're.
Yes.
They know they're getting.
Yes,
and then
they're happy.
But we also
sometimes they got no guys.
Okay, but we also talked about that umpire is going to take grief because everybody knows he's out of position, especially on balls and strikes, and it's difficult, but it is what it is. You said something about sending an experienced. When there for that, so that takes away maybe from a high school ball game because we've got a veteran calling being a one-man show
because someone else will have to move up,
and that's not to your total liking.
No,
it's not what you wished it.
But don't have to cancel the.
But we want the kids to be able to play.
Sure.
That's the bottom line. We want them to be able to play, and if we can only provide them one umpire, because if they don't have any umpires, they're just practicing.
Then where is the new umpires going?
They're not. We're going to one, and we do it a little different. Mm-hmm. Our umpires are in position to call balls and strikes because our one umpire calls it from behind the plate. Because that's the most important.
It's the calls out on the field that
you're going to get the best look you can get. And I did 4 games last year. You can get first and third. Second is it's a coin toss.
Yeah, right.
But there's a way to do that, and
we'll train
and
them
we will train them on how to do that because we want them, to be successful.
And coaches, high school coaches, are coming around. They're finally seeing, you guys are short. Y'all are really short. You're not kidding. Y'all are short. We're starting to get the middle school coaches to come around to it, too. The middle school coaches are the guys when they're working. We have one of my guys out there working by himself, and a parent jumps on him. That's who needs to go get on the parent, is the coach or the administrator. No, this guy is doing the best he can. We're glad he's here so we can play a baseball game.
Well, and you spoke to the situation last year that you had to get these new umpires past 2 years, and yet that was
right. We want somebody who we're successful if we got somebody that goes through, and we train them different things every year, and the training goes up and you get better because that's what you're supposed to do. And if we can hold on to somebody for 3 years, then we might be able to hold on to it.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You find an umpire, he ain't been part of your association, but yet he's been over there umpiring
East Brainerd, Ottawa.
And you recognize, this guy can handle himself. He's not a newbie. He's newbie does. Mm-hmm. Y'all put him in high school situations right away?
Could.
We could, yes.
He's got to be evaluated.
He would go with a veteran. He would be evaluated probably by me, because the thing is, safes and outs, balls and strikes, fairs and fouls, anybody can call. It's game management. It's when something blows up and a coach wants to come out there. Baseball is the only, even high school, middle school sport, that you can come out onto the field and argue a call. You can in football. You're not supposed to. But in baseball, I don't have a flag.
But, and you got fans 10 feet from you.
And that's what separates the umpires.
Yeah, and it's also the only sport. It's one of the only sports at the high school and middle school level that everybody thinks they're an expert.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if you go to if you go to a soccer match, you don't hear hardly a peep out of the crowd. Because they don't understand the rules of the game anyways. They just know to cheer when somebody kicks the ball.
Yeah, kick it.
I coach golf. I have parents that come to a golf match. They don't have a clue. They will walk down the sidelines with me and say, "Hey, was that good, Coach?" Yeah, it was. He did a good job right there. Oh, okay. I don't understand any of this.
I had it happen to me 3 times this past summer and spring. Someone was extremely vocal. I'm like, this person just will not shut up. So I took out, the little business card, and I walked over there to him. One of them I got after the game, and I said, obviously you have a lot of opinions about the game of baseball. So here, come be an umpire. He didn't say a word.
Oh no,
not one word.
He didn't want that.
No, they don't want that.
Back to what you asked. Yes, we take a guy that he comes from Middle Valley.
And he knows what he's up to.
I get a call from somebody and say, "Hey, I worked with this young man. He came from Middle Valley. He's pretty good."
Okay.
And so the next time, and hopefully it's going to be more this year, that I'm not working. Hopefully I'm not going to work that much this year. I'm going to be able to evaluate. I get a chance. I'm going to go watch it and make suggestions to him. Maybe send him to a camp. Maybe pay to send him to a camp.
Yeah, we do scholarships.
We do that too, but we got to have the bodies.
But now, elevate that conversation, because that might be something that nobody knows what you're talking about. You're paying somebody to go to a camp.
There's camps that happen throughout the Southeast. Primarily, they're hosted by people who are looking to recruit college umpires. And we know we're taking a risk if we have, good developmental personnel that we send there. but we will help them go by paying their tuition to go, and give them help with the travel expenses. Now we're not the richest association in the world. That's difficult to do. The board's got to vote on.
You're investing.
But you're investing on it. And some of these people we know are going to be seen by signers there and be offered college contracts. We just hope that they stay with us for a while. We did a umpire camp here. There's a couple of umpires that live in the local area. Matt Bates is one of them. Who's I'm not going to be surprised at all if he's in the pros here very soon.
He's a AAA guy.
Yep.
Pacific Coast League umpire.
And he lives locally, and he's helped us. And we bring him in to make sure that people get the best possible training possible. We have our own camps. Didn't get to do one this year because of I don't know. I think it was just timing. It's the fall is not a good time to set up baseball competing with football. Yeah. Not a good time for that.
Well, they're struggling with officiating too. So they've got their own issues.
Everybody is. But we train them, and we're responsible for training them and making sure that everybody's on the same sheet of music about signals, movements, everything. Game management. We set them up in situations. We do all that. We train them, and I'll put it up against anybody, anywhere.
Okay.
I've been in 6 associations, 5 of those when I was in the military wandering around, and I didn't have any training like the training that we put together here.
The two of you, who else was on that committee of training?
Randy Hartz is. He just moved here from
He's a college umpire.
Okay. South Dakota.
Okay.
And then Maryland and South Dakota, but he started in at the high school level because had a resume, was known to be good, proved it over and over and over again. You got several veteran veteran umpires sure.
that have been around a while. I know you just talked about losing some of those guys.
Ralph Chambers, he used to be the assigner.
Sure.
He helps us with training. We have Aaron Davis, who is a Division I umpire. He started in our association. Mm-hmm. He has risen over the years. He's a crew chief now as a D1 umpire. He comes back and helps us. We have John White that used to be the assigner. He is a Division I umpire.
He lives local
for 2 conferences. He comes and helps us.
Either one of them SEC, ACC?
John does non-conference SEC. Aaron does non-conference SEC. So, yeah, that's big boy baseball, and those guys know what they're doing, and they want to give back. And I guess what I'm trying to get, I mentioned a little while ago that the Chattanooga Association is well thought of by the state, and we were approved one of the sites for years. The state only had state approved umpire clinics in Murfreesboro. That was the only place they had them. This year, after several signers had asked for years, they approved specific locations to hold camps. We were one of them. And we had it set up. I had 3 minor league guys coming in here to do this, but the timing wasn't good, and we weren't able to get. We had to get to a certain point where we weren't going to lose money on it, and we didn't get to that point. But we're going to shoot for it next year. But
some people from Sequatchie County, their umpire association, were
Athens
were going to come and train, and the state wanted that to happen to.
Because y'all send people as far as Ray, Cleveland, Bradley.
We don't do Bradley. We do Cleveland.
Cleveland High School, but not Bradley, not Bradley Central, and not Walker.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Is that the city system versus county system?
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know why
because we would get Walker Valley too. I would think if we got the county.
Yeah.
So,
just we have had up until there might be a change with us not having Ray County, which Ken put us on a middle school game that late in the year last year, and it was like either we went up there and officiated a game where they weren't going to play, and that was at spring Spring City Middle School, which is
a long way.
75 miles from where I live. But we went up there, and we did the game, and quite frankly, the people up there were very appreciative. I was happy that I was happy. You're happy. Everybody is, and that was probably about $1 an hour. And but you got to do it for the love of the game. You got to do it for the love of the game. And no matter where you are, we want the umpires that we're trying to get. If people will come and give us their best effort, they're going to do well. They're going to do well. They're going to do well if they give us their best effort.
So, and I'm just going to, if you guys choose not to answer this question, you will not hurt my feelings in the slightest. I just want to preface that right now.
Can I answer it?
They'll probably both answer it. We've done this. Scott, Rob, and I are going into 22, 23, 24, 24, 25 years now of covering sports the way we have. Is the rise of social media, instant gratification society, and all that trickled itself down into all of this, into where it's the whole thing of everybody thinks that their opinion matters, and because I can pick my phone up and type out 25 words and send it out there to everybody at any given time, I think it's okay, no matter what situation I'm in, to weigh in on every situation. And is that one of the things with the parents the way that they are? And parents, I'm talking directly to you right now, and there's a lot of you listening, and if I ruffle your feathers, I'm sorry, but I'm talking right to you right now. There's a lot of people that don't know how to act at ball games. And is that one of the major issues that is what keeps you guys from being able to have the people that you need to have, because you're fighting a constant battle?
Is that the biggest drawback?
I'm gonna try this.
Yeah.
I personally don't think it's the parents that are the worst. It's the grandparents that I have seen the language.
Jumped a generation.
I'll tell you.
No, he's right.
The language that I have seen from some grandmothers and grandfathers directed to me personally, and they don't know me, and I guess the way they were talking, I'm kind of glad that they didn't. But that's a culture of if I see the grandparent that I'm living with who's over my household say these kind of things in public, well, that just encourages me to do so.
Yep.
In a lot of ways, this might be the only time that children have with their parents, grandparents, significant other, whoever they're living with, and they might feel like, well, if they're not there yelling, they're not supporting me. But I will tell you, on the other side of that, particularly if you're doing first base, you hear the parents say stuff, and I'm looking at the kid's face, and he's like,
they're embarrassed.
Please, Dad, shut up.
They're embarrassed.
Or something like that. And that happens 2-3 times a week. And, my profession, I retired from the Army, but my profession right now is a school teacher.
Right.
And the respect, people say, well, respect is eroding. Not really. We don't have any respect.
Yeah.
There is no respect.
No, you have to, that all has to start, at an early age. And, it's funny that you say that, because we've all been at ball games, and we've seen that kid that goes over there. I'll tell y'all a story, and I won't name any names when I tell y'all this story, but a few years ago, I had a friend that took a job at a school in the area, and it was a particular baseball program that I knew a whole lot about, and he said, you're around that program all the time. He said, if you was going to give me any piece of advice, what would you give me? And I said, well, let me go ahead and tell you. Hitter number 2 is your best hitter on the entire team. When you're at home, you want to make him hit as good as he can possibly hit. You put his daddy in the press box running the scoreboard. Well, I understand.
I do.
All right? Don't do it for the first 2 games and see what happens. Mm-hmm. All right? So the first 2 games go past, and he calls me 2-3 days after that, and he said, I see it. And I said, well, what'd you do? Oh, I put him in the press box. I said, what happened that night? He went 3 for 4 and hit 2 home runs.
He quit being a strike.
We have a lot of, and I mean, we're all parents, and we want the best for our kids, and we want our kids to do the best that we can. But we have a lot of parents out there that are living vicariously through their kids, and they don't understand. I see this, and you do too. It being in education, you see it because you'll have a kid when they make a bad grade, and the first thing they'll do is come up to you after class and say, "I mean, is there anything I can't take this grade home?"
Well, actually, most of them I deal with, they don't come up to you after class because they just don't. I mean, it's just completely different. I will tell you, umpires have to understand that baseball is a game that makes you deal with failure in the field. But most, if you're batting 300, and I know you got wins above
70% failure.
If you're only successful 3 out of 10 times,
you're
going to be making millions of dollars.
Yes, you are. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times the parents, whatever, they're like, they want their kid to be batting 957. I'm like, okay, then the game score is going to be 47 to 46 by the end of the second inning.
But we got a time limit. We'll be out of it.
You mentioned those kids rolling their eyes. I was one of them. Late 70s, I sat there and watched my dad have to physically lift my grandmother up in the air and drag her off the field because she was swinging a purse. And it wasn't an umpire. It was a coach that had to serve as an umpire. And she was swinging at him and the opposing coach. And
y'all remember those days, don't you? Back in the old rec league days?
Going back to Tim James helping us out greatly for anybody that wants to do that. We're supposed to make sure that the game is safe for the game officials, and we can do that a couple of ways. But what Coach James has said he's going to do to help us is the game administrator is really, you can look it up, they're supposed to meet us before we go onto the field.
Right, you're supposed to.
And after the game,
that's where you're supposed to exchange lineup cards and everything, right? Yeah.
Basketball.
Well, and is Tim kind of trying to say that maybe that has not been taking place? Does he acknowledge that?
He didn't say it. We did.
You said it. He brought that to everybody's attention.
Because I've had a game administrator, and I'd just like to commend somebody on it, but I did a couple of playoff games last year within the county that one of the smallest schools had a game administrator call me. I'm the game administrator. This is where I'd like for you to park. I'll have a space for you. And they met us there, walked us in. Both of those games won by the home team, but incredibly contentious.
Smaller high school,
okay. But yet they had that person there, and they walked us back, stood with us while I was a home plate umpire both those times, to just get out of your gear.
Private or public?
Public.
Okay, well, congratulations.
But
did their part.
They did their part, and I'm supposed to do my part by showing up to the game, and I want somebody else to do their part by, getting me in there, where I don't have to worry about
get something thrown at you or something.
So much worried about the language
following you.
Well, I've been followed out to the parking lot.
Oh, absolutely. Now Scott will be able to echo. Scott. Most of the North Georgians, if they've got a RSO on their officer, they'll escort them.
SRO.
As long as the SRO is not the game administrator, because
you don't want to be one of the same.
Yeah, because you're setting them up to be
can't be arresting everybody.
Not being able
well,
to
and it doesn't help, nor will it ever help, that baseball being a spring sport, that is the absolute busiest time of the school year when it comes to athletics, because you've got baseball, tennis, golf, track and field. I mean, it is nonstop. And I mean, we had nights last year during the spring where we had a golf, at home we had a tennis match, a baseball game, an ROTC, something going on. I mean, we had stuff going on constantly. And that's the crux of it all, is that you guys are good people. You are going out there and you're making money for it, but let's be honest, you could make a whole lot more doing other things, and you know that you could. You're going out there and you're doing something because you love it. You enjoy the game, you enjoy every aspect of the game, and you like being out there and being a part of it. You're giving of yourself to the same community in the same way that a teacher or a coach does the exact same thing. People need to understand that, and people need to respect that, because it's really no different. You guys are going out there and servicing those kids the same way that you and I both do as educators. You guys are going out there as umpires and servicing those kids in that exact same way. You deserve the same respect that they would give to anybody in that school, the administrators, the teachers, all the way down to the cafeteria ladies, the janitors, whatever. Y'all are still servicing that whole community. And people need to understand that.
And I would jump on that and say, if you don't,
then you need to get your butt out of there.
Well,
you don't even need to come.
But less and less people are going to want to do this, and pretty soon we're not going to have baseball. We're not going to have softball because we're going to have enough umpires to cover the games. That's the bottom line.
You've got there's an old modernetics out there that talks about man job overlay. That's where you're looking for the man in the job, and they got to kind of have a closeness to it.
Yeah.
A guy that schedule is not flexible, it doesn't work for you guys. So let's talk about what y'all kind of describe what you need from a person to be able to do this.
I can, as an assigner, I can work with just about anybody's schedule as long as it's consistent. And I can work with anybody's schedule as long as I give Rusty 4 games this week and he doesn't call me back. And we work on a system, it's a computer system, the Arbiter system. And you set your blocks. You block days by hours what you can't work. And then I assign around that. Now, the guys I have a problem with are the guys that set their blocks, and then I give them games, and then they call me back and say, hey, I can't work that. No, you didn't block it.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot. Well, okay, you're not getting any games for the
Get
next
better
2
remembering.
weeks, so maybe that'll help you remember. But I can work around anybody's schedule, and I tell them, and Scott's heard me tell them, this is grown-up stuff.
Yeah.
You have to set your schedule.
Yeah.
Because between the high schools, publics and privates, junior varsity, and 9th grade teams, I think there's like 37 right there, and then there's 32 middle schools.
Yeah.
How many hours a week is that for you?
Oh my God!
Don't
ask me that.
I am
asking it.
From the time I get up in the morning when the season's going,
that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, till the time I go to bed at night.
And that's why it's even in our bylaws, and we're just like a regular organization. We have bylaws that we go by. We have board meetings that we do, and if anybody wants to come in and get into the board meeting of it, I have 2 jobs on the board, and they can have either one of them right now if they want. Because
we tried to get someone else to take this job.
It didn't work. So,
we know assigners down here in Georgia and Chattanooga for other things.
But Ken, if he's assigning, he's probably not going to be able to get on the field.
Yeah.
But it's written in there where he can get on the field. But the 4 middle school games he talked recently about doing, those were emergencies.
Well, yeah, he didn't have any choice.
Had nobody else.
No,
yeah.
It was just I was the only available person in our association, and I wasn't going to work.
But you've also changed your tactic. You're going to go with 1 veteran, and you're going to quit trying to get 2.
If we get our numbers up,
you could go back.
I hope we do. I pray we do. I've got 22 guys, new guys. Several referred. They've called in themselves from other states, have experience. Mm-hmm. If I can get 10 of those
this year,
we're going to be in a lot better shape. Mm-hmm. We're going to be in a lot.
If you got all 22, it'd be gravy.
That have reached out to you that claim they got experience.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. So what they do, Gene Manise, you know him at the state. He's got a pretty good system, and it's kind of grown out of about 3 years ago, I think it was. That we're just like, hey, we need some help. This is not working. It's no longer that I can just go out there and umpire a game and go home and forget about it. There's a lot of other things need to be done. if you're from Wheaton, Illinois, and we do have a person that's coming from Wheaton, Illinois, they've done college and high school level, and they've sent us a resume, and they've already contacted us, then we have a reasonable expectation that they are good. And Ken, I don't know that many people nationally. Ken knows a lot of people nationally that know and respect
that
him.
you can call up and say, "Hey, what's this guy like?"
Yeah, what's this guy like?
Yeah.
And that's the college
that's a valuable asset. Yeah, it is,
and that helps. We have we got 4 guys last year through that, and I know this. We do a lot here in the area to try to recruit people.
But that's a put and take.
We do a lot.
You said you're getting some, and you're
the biggest
losing some.
recruiter for us is blind luck. Blind luck.
Yeah.
Because if we got 7 guys last year, we didn't know about any of those guys until they contacted us. It's 8 that are already have told us they're going to try this year, but we didn't know any of those people before. It's blind luck. Now we'll take that, because
that sounds like something that comes out of the stands.
Well, so basically, what you guys are telling me is,
so you did very well, actually.
Especially you, Ken, when you get through that season and you finish that last day,
I'm so ready.
That very next day, when you crack that first beer that night, you lay back in the chair and you just sigh,
Maker.
Well, you get through what, June?
May.
May.
It goes through May.
You probably have the best night's sleep you've had in months at that time.
People don't. He does, because I talk to him almost every day, but I can't. It's so frustrating, but I don't want. I'm not going to burden people with. I appreciate y'all having us on, and the reason we wanted to be on here is we are actively recruiting, needing people. If we can get 2 people from this show that can call us and say, "Yeah, that sounds like something I want to do," we will train you. We will make you successful. We will teach you how to handle all that stuff. Your assigner will not let you have to take a bunch of junk.
Yeah.
Either. We will just. We're an independent association. I can tell your school, we're done servicing your school.
Yeah, we won't be there.
Yeah. And let me hitchhike on that.
Yeah.
Because
you should.
I've known.
And you should.
I've known people that's been in your spot, and I've known people that quit the associations because of your spot. Okay,
I know people like that too.
So you got a lot. You do have a lot of pressure on you,
yeah.
and you can bring people in, and you can watch people walk because of you.
Oh yeah,
and you've probably heard that. And the people before you heard that.
Yep.
How important is that for you to understand that?
It is important. Fortunately, my background is I was a manager my whole life. And one thing I tell the new umpires, the old umpires, and I'll tell you right here on the radio, I will not lie to you. You may not like what I tell you, but true. I will not lie to you.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, what am I doing wrong? How can I get better? Be prepared for me to tell you, because I will be honest with you. Because all I want is every umpire in our association to do is get better. That's all I want them to do is to get better.
Well, if they're failing out there and they're making that a tough game, you'll hear about that from lots of folks. And
before the game is even over. Before the game is even over.
Well, I know high school football coaches that reach out to the signer said, "Don't send him back.
Yeah.
Don't send him back."
To me, it gets back
welcome
to that. Like in your position, it gets back into that whole thing of, don't ask me my opinion. Don't ask me to give you an answer unless you want me to give you an answer. If you want something, if you want to ask me something and me tell you what you want to hear, then you need to tell me ahead of time, hey, listen, I'm going to ask you this, and this is what I really want to hear. Because otherwise, I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking at that very time, and that's where you are, and you've got to be that way. Because there's just so much that attaches to that. And, I mean, guys, I respect the hell out of what y'all do. Because I wouldn't want to... I mean, I love the game of baseball.
But you know what's really frustrating? And let me say this, and I've been to ball games. When the team showed up and umpires aren't there.
Yeah.
Now everybody is hurt.
Well,
and now we don't know that situation why they're not there. But
last year, Ken was when he was the assigner, and the board begged him to do it. And I've been in this association for 12 years, and I knew that people had some strong feelings about Ken. But that was okay because I get along with him because I understand
that means he's doing his job right.
He's doing his job, and that's what the board has him. That's what it is.
Yep.
And quite frankly, no one's going to be able to do it any better, and certainly not me, and certainly not anybody else that would have wanted to do it.
If you ain't pissed somebody off, you ain't doing it the way you need to do it.
One thing that y'all haven't said, and we haven't asked you to say it, but tell folks how to find you.
Yeah.
Well, sir, you can call my personal cell phone number. There it is right there, and I'll give it to you that you can have it on
We'll make sure
podcast.
we post it for you guys.
Yes. And it's a Virginia number, but I answer it, and you can call or email or text me. Ken's number's on that too. And
we're in the process of getting a real spiffy website.
It's going to be student design.
When you do, you let us know, and we'll make sure that we share that, and we'll make sure that we help you get the word out there. I'm
waiting on the domain registration. We put that in.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Been there.
Yeah. So we're going to hang a lot of information and training on that, and if anybody wants to contact us and get and help you make up your mind, I'll send you a training packet. It's my email address should be on there, but anybody can email me glass GLASS _ Scott at hcde.org, and I'll do my best to send you a PowerPoint presentation of what the equipment is. Tennessee went to new shirts this year.
Yes,
and new jackets this year. That's a somewhat of an added expense. We understand that, but
we're happy about that. It makes us. We were wearing
changing colors.
Yes.
No, we were wearing the navy blue hats
and black.
Send
me that PowerPoint, man. I'll post it on Scenic City for you.
Silly.
Sure.
Yeah,
y'all the email address isn't on the card.
Yes.
Give me the email
address.
It's
the glass.
You really are blue.
GLASS _ Scott at hcde.org. And
we'll make sure.
Well, look, we are,
and not our competition, but our friends. You're heading to the Payne podcast real soon, with our good buddy Greg Payne,
Yep.
who is a long-time baseball.
I was going to say Quake and the guys at Sport Talk. I mean, the sports media community in Chattanooga is a pretty tight knit community. We all know each other. We all love each other. We've all been friends for a bazillion years at this point. So and we all have the same thought process in mind, and that is we want to do everything we can to help these kids and get the best experience that we can get for these kids out there.
A message that we need to tell people is, they're going to have to pass a background check.
Well, yeah.
If you're a county employee or something like that, and that's no way to get around that. And it's, I think most people know if they can or can't, but I mean they pretty much have to.
Oh yeah.
And you have to register with the state of Tennessee, and of course our yearly dues are a lot less than what
they're not even a game fee.
Yeah.
So
you're going to make that back pretty quickly.
Well, guys, we appreciate you. Obviously, we're running up on an hour here, so we're going to call it quits. But we appreciate you guys coming out and being on the show with us tonight. You guys are welcome anytime. All you ever have to do
is reach out. Make a midterm request.
You reach out to us. Middle of the season, y'all want to come in and talk about how it's going or whatever. You don't hesitate. All you got to do.
Keep coming here until we get 90 people.
Yeah, I mean, all you got to do is reach out, and we are always willing to help out. I mean, so one more time before we start closing this down, give everybody particulars, and we'll put these on the website as well.
Well, I'll respond to anybody that wants to umpire. And oh, by the way, if there are any ladies out there that want to umpire high school baseball, we are certainly looking for that too.
Softball players.
You want to continue? Doesn't matter. We'll be happy to have you. But 757-870-5214 is my cell phone number. Please call that. Or glass, GLASS _ Scott, SCOTT, at hcde.org.
Well,
get
folks,
in touch with me. I'll get back with you.
You heard it right here. This has been the Scenic City Sports Podcast. Rusty, Scott, and Rob. We got Scott in there towards the end of the show. We knew he'd sneak in at some point.
Little traffic issues
but
today.
Yeah, it is that time of year when everything is going. Everybody's gearing up for the holidays. We will be with you guys at least one more time before Christmas time, and we will probably I'll tell you guys ahead of time, we'll probably take that Christmas and New Year's week. We'll probably take that week off that we usually do every year. But we appreciate you guys being with us through all this time. Check these guys out if you're interested in umpiring. Make sure you reach out. We'll put all the information on Scenic City Sports on Facebook. But, guys, thank y'all for being out with us. Thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks to all of our sponsors for taking care of us the way they do. And we will catch you guys later.